Assassin's Creed is a game that can be described in a single word. Ashafushim in the Himalayas with Xinjiang Pan. Thank you. I don't know what he said. I don't think he knows what he said. But let me tell you something, folks. Assassin's Creed has done for stealth games what Need for Speed has done for stealth games. Let's face it, it's been a while since we've had a good one, but this latest release seems to be particularly unpopular.
Assassin's Creed Shadows has over 750,000 dislikes on its world premiere trailer, 100,000 dislikes on its gameplay walkthrough, and over 42,000 dislikes on its first look trailer. This has made it the most disliked game in Ubisoft's history. Why?
Well, for starters, Ubisoft's handling of Japanese culture has hardly been ideal.
With our dual protagonists, we have two fantasy, the samurai and the shinobi. We want the player to experience both, and we cannot squeeze both fantasy into one character because samurai and shinobi came from a different social class. They have different lives, so we cannot really mix them together.
This is the reason given for the two characters being split in different classes. But as often is the case, Ubisoft's fantasy is the exact opposite of the actual truth. In reality, samurai was a social class of warriors who served as retainers to the daimyo, the great landholders. Shinobi or ninja was a job mainly focused around espionage, as their name directly means one who is invisible. Many records on the shinobi were those that usually come from the samurai class, with some of the greatest and best known shinobis also being samurai, making the statement that they are completely different things not only laughable, but also quite concerning, given that it comes directly from Assassin's Creed Shadows game director.
All I have ever known in my life.
What we're looking at is the province of Iga, the homeland of Naoe. It's isolated a little bit in the mountains, and they were home of the shinobi. They come from here, or at least a portion of them come from here. And the interesting thing is, once we traveled to Japan and we visited this province, it became very clear how that world came together. It's sort of isolated in the mountains, sort of kept to itself. It's a very good representation, in my opinion, of that place.
This is another massive misconception. Iga Province was known for their traditional Japanese pottery, called Igayaki. It was a commerce hotspot leading to major trading routes going directly through it, the exact opposite of an isolated location that is kept to itself. It was quite popular for commerce and trading. On top of that, they've made a massive mistake in architecture with square-shaped mats that should be rectangle. Many Japanese players, in fact, have accused Ubisoft of creating a bizarre mishmash of Asian architecture that at some points looked more like China than feudal Japan.
And on the flip side, we have Naoe, who comes from the province of Iga, valor, benevolence, and wisdom. And as a young person still at the start of the game, we get to see Naoe acquire even more of that wisdom as the story unfolds.
First of all is the female character Naoe, who funny enough is given a man's name, best known from the samurai Kanetsugu Naoe. The name is traditionally given to men. She is also referenced as a kunoichi, which is a female shinobi. Shinobi, as mentioned previously, are spies. Their mission is espionage. They are not assassins, and most kunoichi are not known for being trained in combat. It also goes without saying that benevolence and wisdom is not a spy's focal point. She, even if trained, would never be able to match an armored samurai in combat, and she shouldn't, given the separation of characters. Furthermore, a female shinobi would never walk around with a sword visible on her, as that would make her the center of attention and make it impossible for her to fit in. It's the same reason why in Assassin's Creed Liberation, the female character could switch to traditional feminine outfits that allowed her to free roam without being suspicious, and later change into her assassin's uniform to gain access to her main weapons and tools during the actual missions.
Starring opposite Naoe is the samurai warrior Yasuke. He's an important first for Assassin's Creed. Yasuke is the first time the series has ever featured a real historical person as a playable character. Naturally, the team sought out a fascinating figure for this role, the legendary Black Samurai.
Moving on from Naoe, it's time to talk about the elephant in the room, the big black samurai. Yasuke is a historical figure, but there's zero factual evidence to prove he was a samurai. From what we know about him, we know he was a trained warrior. He was seen as a weapon bearer / bodyguard to Lord Nobunaga. It is very rare for a foreigner to be nominated as a samurai, though it's definitely not impossible as there's multiple cases of it. He was allowed to own land and given a weapon, which is extremely rare for anyone who's not a samurai. However, after Oda Nobunaga was betrayed by a vassal of his, if Yasuke was a samurai, he would be forced to commit suicide due to the death of his master. However, given how rare he was for feudal Japan, it's possible that he was spared even if he was a samurai, due to both his unique look and the fact he wasn't Japanese. These arguments and counter-arguments paint a rather fuzzy picture, making it impossible to draw a definitive answer. However, no matter if he was a samurai or not, he would never be seen walking around the village in full armor either. The samurai armor, much like the medieval one, was only worn during combat and certain military parades. Of course, this is an RPG trope in gaming, but it is something worth mentioning.
Now, we do have to ask the question, is Yasuke's appearance in the game done entirely for political reasons? Well, let's first take a look at his achievements. He came to Japan as a stranger, he was given instant privilege because of his skin color and height. Lord Nobunaga liked him, so he hired him. He gave him a job with a high status, he gave him a weapon, a home, many things the Japanese didn't have at the time. And his one and only mission to protect Lord Nobunaga was a failure. Lord Nobunaga died surrounded by enemies, and Yasuke was either captured but not even worth killing, or most likely ran away. He was booted from Japan pretty much immediately after that happened. He only lasted about 15 months to begin with, and I'm sorry, but there's not one person watching this video who doesn't have underwear in their wardrobe longer than 15 months. It's an extremely short amount of time. And what did he really achieve in those 15 months? How many great wars did he fight in? 0. How many great battles did he win? 0. What did he really achieve or acquire? Not much of notice. We don't even know if he was a proper samurai. And in all honesty, looking at those achievements, or more so the lack of any, it's very hard to convince people that you've now decided to make him the main protagonist or one of the main protagonists as anything else outside of a political agenda. And if you don't believe me, just look at the people who are actually running the project.
A chubby white girl with pronouns in her bio who majored in gender studies focused on relationships among adolescent boys with the help of Sweet Baby Inc., an organization linked to extreme left-wing activism who actively bullies developers into changing their stories to fit their extreme political agendas. The only Japanese historian they referenced was one whose only claim to fame was writing about sexual interactions between Buddhist monks and other men in feudal Japan. With these people leading the studio project, it's very obvious the decision of having an African main character in feudal Japan wasn't just a simple creative choice, but rather a calculated, politically motivated one. Something the Japanese clearly aren't oblivious to. Under Ubisoft Japan's trailer of Assassin's Creed Shadows, we find these comments. Revision of Japan's history due to overseas political correctness begins. It's a great representation that people who advocate diversity are violent racists. There is no need for diversity where Japanese people are discriminated against. This work is completely insulting to Japan's people. These are the leading comments under the trailer from the Japanese people. And the funny thing is, we've seen Yasuke being featured in other forms of media and videos, yet he's never had any backlash, because it's obvious when something is done respectfully with creative interests, and when it's done entirely to promote a political agenda.
Let us ask a very honest question. If Yasuke happened to be Asian rather than African, just based on his achievements in history alone, do you think he would be one of the main protagonists in Assassin's Creed Shadows and the very first historical playable protagonist? No, of course not. It's political propaganda and forced diversity that is beyond see-through. And someone may say, well, you're just saying that having a black character equals propaganda. No, it's when it's done for the wrong reasons and when it's actively disrespecting another culture. The fact that despite his complete lack of achievements, Ubisoft is dead set on making him the savior of the Japanese people. You see it in the demo. Just listen to his quotes. For the people, I am justice.
Who do you think you are? For the people? I am justice.
You see the Japanese people bending over to bow to him. The guy that came to Japan and had instant privilege because of his skin color. He failed his one and only mission by running away like a coward and was booted from Japan in 15 months. That's the guy that is now being painted as the savior of Japan and all of its people, just based on his skin color. It's the most disgusting and overly racist portrayal I've ever seen in a video game. Ubisoft should be ashamed of themselves. They've killed, nuked the Japanese market, and their mediocre production, well, that's doing them no favors either.
The first thing most players will notice out of the gate is an extreme downgrade of quality when it comes to cutscenes. Even when compared to a game 10 years older than it, like Assassin's Creed Unity, we see a massive difference in camera angles and cinematography. One looks like a proper AAA quality production, while the other looks like an indie level amateur hour. Also, we know from the developers themselves that social stealth has been removed from the game, meaning that it will not be possible to fit into a crowd or hide by doing unsuspicious behavior. That's another massive feature that the series has always been known for that's gone the way of the dodo. Another thing that's been gone for a while, to be fair, are the smooth animations we saw in Unity. Even at best, the new animations can look quite rough and stiff, especially in comparison. The split into two characters the game introduces doesn't make a lot of sense for an Assassin's Creed game either. It's more like an Arkham type of split between combat and Predator, except done with two characters. The combat mechanics for Yasuke are certainly a step forward, but you do have to wonder whether they really fit right for an Assassin's Creed game, especially due to the character's low mobility and slow animations. We do see some new interesting mechanics being introduced as well, though they do resemble some of the previous titles. It's fair to say that Assassin's Creed Shadows presents a new experience for players, but until the game releases, we won't know for sure if it's for the better or not. We do know that the game will have an extreme amount of microtransactions, as it's always the case with Ubisoft games of recent history, so that's another thing that will hang in the balance.
Now, I think it's time we talked about the pricing of Assassin's Creed Shadows. It begins at $70 and only goes up from there. For $70, you will be given the base game. How very generous of them. I tell you, we'll get to the point where the base price won't even get you the base game. Keep that in mind, remember that. I guarantee you we will come to that day soon enough. There's also a pre-order bonus if you pre-order, which will be a mission that is already present in the game, by the way, called Thrown to the Dogs. It's kind of funny, you know, art imitating life, because basically that's what you're going to be doing with your wallet, throwing it to the dogs. So that's, another existing piece of content that's basically been locked behind a paywall. But of course it doesn't end there. If you go to $110, you can now get your hands on the gold edition. You get early access, which basically means that instead of having to wait 3 days for a delayed release, you'll just be able to play the game on its actual launch. Incredible, I know. So, if you want to play the game when it actually comes out, that'll be $110, please. You also get a season pass, one with a quest already featured in the game. So that's another slice of the base game that's been removed and put behind a paywall, as well as future ones, but no details have been given. However, you are still limited. If you want to experience this game with all of its available content, that will take you back $130 for the Ultimate Edition, which will give you a pack of gear, weapons, ornaments, and trinkets, along with 5 skill points, pay to win in a single player game, love to see it, and a filter for photo mode. They're actually selling a filter for photo mode. Let that sink in, folks. And of course, if not, you can always put down a mortgage payment with Ubisoft Plus and play it that way for only $18 every single month. Though among PlayStation Plus, Xbox Game Pass, Amazon Prime, and all the rest of these subscription services, you'll probably not have much time to play, as you'll have to look for a second job just to pay for all that shit. But in all honesty, there's not one singular bad trend in modern gaming that isn't featured here, from early access to pre-order bonuses, season passes, individual microtransactions that will be featured. They'll just show up a little later, I can guarantee you that. It's just one giant shit-filled piñata. And the funniest thing of all is that there's people out there who think that all this bad publicity is actually a good thing.
If people are simply talking about Assassin's Creed Shadows, just like I am, whether they are praising it or criticizing it, it's going to keep the game relevant and in the spotlight. This can lead to more people wanting to try out for themselves, either out of genuine interest or sheer curiosity. You see, controversy or strong opinions often drive engagement, leading to increased discussions on social media, forums and whatnot.
But those people are dim-witted, unintelligent morons. From all the data we have, we've never ever seen a game be controversial and face backlash during its reveal and trailers that then ends up being a successful launch and release. At least financially, that's never happened.
Let's take Battlefield 5 for example. It had an extreme backlash because of its own identity politics, which led to underperforming sales. Same story with DMC Devil May Cry. When they tried to reboot Dante, it was overwhelmingly hated by the fans and created a huge backlash that resulted in the game flopping in sales. Same story earlier this year with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, controversial live service elements and disrespect to the Arkham legacy resulted in a massive failure, losing over $200 million. Just 2 years previous was the Saints Row reboot, which had awful political agendas that disrespected the original characters, removing them in order to pander to left-wing activists. It was overwhelmingly hated and disliked in its trailers leading up to release, and when it did release, it was a complete flop, which killed the studio that created it. There is no reason to believe that this game will be the exception to the rule. It won't. If anything, it will do even worse, as the backlash throughout the years has only gotten heavier because people get more and more fed up with having political agendas and ridiculous pricing shoved down their throat.
It's a bit of a shame when you think about it. The fact that it's been 17 years since the very first Assassin's Creed game, and in all of that time, all players have wanted to do is explore Japan in Assassin's Creed. It's been the #1 most requested location, and outside of a couple mediocre mobile games, we've never ever had a proper AAA release for an Assassin's Creed game in Japan before Shadows. This is the very first one. This should have been Ubisoft's golden egg, an opportunity to get players hyped and excited and finally give them something that they've been asking for. That's very rare for Ubisoft, something they haven't had in many years. This game could have made them hundreds of millions of dollars. It could have put them back on the map as a developer that needs to be paid attention to, and instead, it's just another slap in the face, another chance for their already shitty reputation to be dragged not through the mud, but straight through the sewers. A game that's gonna be a financial disaster when it comes out. That much I can promise you. And yeah, it's a wasted opportunity for both the players and the developers, but what can you do? Ubisoft have made their stance clear. They have showcased what's most important to them: political agendas and milking everyone's wallets dry. That's the only thing that matters to them. They don't care about actually delivering a good experience, and they're gonna pay the price. We're only gonna see that, of course, when the game comes out. So until then, this has been Wild Gold, and thank you all so very much for watching.